He is such a terrific person. Thank you, everybody. Thank you very much. He is a terrific man, I will tell you that, and special. He's a special guy. And I'm glad I didn't get into too much of a debate with him, because that could have been very unattractive, especially for me, because he's tough, but he's a good man, and I appreciate Mike being here. So I had a long, beautiful speech written, and I read it. I said, boy, this is boring. This is not what we want to talk about, because I know a lot of the pastors. I know some of the pastors in the room, and I refuse to put them to sleep, right? So I said, take down those teleprompters. Let's talk. Let's talk. And I thought I'd tell you a story that took place not so long ago in a big conference room in a building in Manhattan. And we had many pastors in that conference room. We had about 55 people. We had many pastors. We had ministers. We had 2 rabbis. Great people. And it was, maybe 6 months ago. And it was before that also. We had a number of meetings. And I noticed there's tremendous strength, tremendous power from these people. They were tremendously powerful people. Their personalities, their speech, they would speak so beautifully. I'm used to hearing real estate people in New York. They don't speak so beautifully at all. But they're smart and they're tough. But such beautiful words, such great people in the room. And I could see, I'm pretty good at this. I know when people like me. I know when people don't like me. And that's okay. Either way, I'd prefer the liking, but sometimes it doesn't work out, no matter what you do. And I listened to all of the people. Would go around the room. And they're very religious people. They're believers. They believe so much in religious liberty, as I do, very much. Because without religious liberty, you don't have liberty. Okay, you don't have liberty. And some of these pastors and ministers, and in both cases the rabbis, they have tremendous followings and tremendous congregations. And we had one meeting where, probably the third one, because the biggest people. And I could see this love for Donald Trump. We want you to win, Mr. Trump. We want you to win. And so I said, well, pray for me. And they had no problem with it. They did that immediately. They formed the circle. We grabbed. Everything was beautiful. Pray for me. But then I said, I hope you can get out there and really support me and fight for me and endorse me and all of those political things. And I saw there was like a silence in the room. Silence. And I said, what's this? What is going on? Why is there silence? Where was the enthusiasm? I mean, I could see they really like me. They know I get it. I won with the evangelicals in the primary. I mean, I would go into a state, and remember at the beginning, I'd go in, they'd say, well, he can't win that state because that's evangelical, and then I'd win with the evangelicals in massive numbers. And Pastor Jeffress would be on television. They'd say, he was just great. He was always so good on television. And he has a great way of speaking. And he'd say, Donald Trump may not be perfect, but he knows how to win. And maybe he's not as good, and maybe he's not as perfect on the Bible. But I did go to Sunday school for many years. I want to tell you that. Okay? But he said, he may not be perfect, but he's ours. And Jerry Falwell Jr. got up, and he said something that was very interesting. He said, when Ronald Reagan and Jimmy Carter were running, you had one who was absolutely perfect, Sunday school teacher, Jimmy Carter, knew every word in the Bible, a good person, a very good person, and Ronald Reagan, who had gone through a divorce and was probably not on paper the same. And Jerry Jr., who, by the way, is a fantastic person, Jerry said his father was under tremendous pressure from the church groups and from the evangelicals to endorse Jimmy Carter. And he said, I can't do it. I can't do it. And that was when you had the Iran hostage crisis, and a lot of bad things were happening to our country through weakness. It was happening through weakness. And he said, I can't do it. And he endorsed Ronald Reagan. And he was always so proud of that decision. And Jerry Jr. would tell me that was one of the great decisions. And it was a great decision, because you're talking about a great president, turned out to be a great president. But Pastor Jeffress would get up and he'd say, he's not perfect, but he knows how to win, and he's going to win for us. And I said, I like that guy. I never met him, but then I got to meet him. He's a fantastic guy. And he said things that were just very nice, and I appreciate it. We have such great support with the evangelical community, the Christian community, really largely the religious community. So I'm in the room with many of the pastors and some ministers, and they're going like, well, we can't really do that. I said, why? Why? Why can't you do that? I don't understand. I know you like me. Why aren't you endorsing me? Well, we just can't. I said, why? These were strong men. All of a sudden they're saying, and women. We had Reverend Paula, a terrific person, by the way, terrific. And we had some others that were amazing, and they've become friends of mine. But they're strong people. And they said, we can't do it. I said, why? And they didn't want to tell me. And it wasn't that they didn't want to tell me. It's almost like they got used to this thing around their neck and eyes. And it's almost like they couldn't see. And I said, why? And after a lot of prodding, they said, well, we don't want to lose our tax-exempt status. I said, what does that have to do with your tax-exempt status? Not knowing. And it basically has to do with the 501c3 status, that they can't get involved from the standpoint of essentially freedom of speech. So you have these powerful people with a great voice. You know that Christianity and everything we're talking about today has had a very, very tough time. Very tough time. In Syria, when this is before the migration, if you were a Christian in Syria, it was virtually impossible to come into the United States. If you were a Muslim from Syria, it was one of the easier countries to be able to find your way into the United States. Think of that. Just think of what that means. So I didn't know this, and I didn't know about I know 501c3, but I didn't know that it played such a big role. And basically, I looked back into it. I said, I want to check this out. And do you ever get used to something that's wrong and you just sort of live with it, right? That's why they weren't telling me, because they almost didn't even know. They got so used to it. These are the smartest people, the most bold people, incredible people. They got so used to it that they almost didn't even know, what was wrong. But they knew there was something wrong. And I wanted to look into it. And we had a meeting 3 months later with a similar group, the same group, a lot of the same people. And I said, you know what? If by that time I did really a lot of work. It was Lyndon Johnson, right? See, they're all nodding their heads. It was Lyndon Johnson in the 1970s. And they say he was having a problem with either one or more churches. And they were really going after him. And he wanted to silence the church. And he got, he's a powerful guy, smart guy, tough. Very much different from what we have today, I'll tell you that. We don't have tough. We need tough with ISIS and all of the problems. We need tough. We need tough. We need tough. And we need smart, but we don't have that today. And we'll certainly won't have it if Hillary Clinton gets in. It'll be 4 more years of this nonsense that goes on. But it was very interesting. So I had the meeting and explained to them about Lyndon Johnson, but most of them knew it, just like a lot of the folks in the room are shaking their heads. That's right. It's Lyndon Johnson wanting to silence people that didn't feel so good about him. There's in particular one church, they say in Houston, right? Does anybody know that church? It's one church in Houston. So we'll all figure it out. But maybe it was many churches. But he wanted to silence them, and he was powerful, and he got it approved. And he basically silenced the pastors and the ministers and the rabbis and the priests and people of religion. And I said, wow, that's incredible. And for some reason, the churches, the pastors, the evangelicals, they didn't do anything about it. It's very strange because I know how tough you are. I say, what happened? What happened, right? You're smiling. You all know. What happened? Because when you think of it, you have men and you have women, 50-50 approximately. Very powerful groups, men and women. Now you have religion, and that's not 50-50. So let's say it's 80%, 75%, 82%, whatever it may be, but it's the most powerful lobby there is. And yet you've been totally silenced. And when they told me that, we were in a building in Manhattan, and I said, so that means that you have less power as powerful people, as people that are representing, in some cases, thousands of people on generally Sunday. That means that you have less power than people walking up and down the street. I pointed 30 stories down. I said, look, see the people walking up? That means you have less power than they do, really. And yet you should be far more powerful. And if you look what's happened to religion, if you look at what's happening to Christianity, and you look at the number of people going to churches, and the evangelicals know this also, it's not on this kind of a climb, it's on this kind of a climb. Slow and steady in the wrong direction. And a lot of it has to do with the fact that you've been silenced. You've been silenced. Like a child has been silenced. You've been silenced. Strong, brilliant, great people. They want to do the right thing. We're not talking about bad people. We're talking about great people. That say, don't do that, Donald. Don't do that, Donald. Don't do that, Donald. Okay? Great people. And I said, that I'm going to take this into my own hands because I'm good at this. This is where Pastor Jeffress is right. This is what I'm good at. And I started telling people about it because it really had an impact on me. Where people are silenced that are really our finest people. And their power has been taken away. Your power has been totally taken away. I mean, I don't want to insult anybody, but your power has been totally taken away. They were so afraid to even mention the word endorsement. As opposed to saying you like somebody, you should be able to support that person and go out and stand on the street corner and say Trump is the best, he's representing us the best, or whoever you want. And I really mean it, whoever you want. But you can't do that now. I know you're not going for Hillary, that I know anyway. Hate to tell you, folks, you got two choices. You got two choices. You've got two choices. And one choice you're not going for that choice. So I feel confident. But you should be able to, even if you did want that choice, you should be able to go out and stand up and say, that's the one I want that one. And you should also be able to, want to have somebody who represents your feelings about life. You should have that person, you should be able to talk about it. You can't even talk about it. And that's a massive thing when you lose your tax exempt status. I mean, some of the churches are, they do great work, and they can't do it. They can't do that. It's probably half of the money you take in. So I decided to work on it, and I have worked on it. And then I was lucky enough, because of the evangelicals, by the way, I was lucky enough to win the primaries in a landslide, the highest number of votes in the history of the Republican Party. Think of that. And that's with 17 people. That's with 17 people. So we had the highest number of votes, won, most of the states, and it was like a landslide. And a lot of that was because of the evangelicals. I'll never forget, we're doing well. We won New Hampshire. We won this one. We did great in Massachusetts. We went to South Carolina, and we went to North Carolina. They said, well, there he'll have problems because they have a tremendous number. I think it's 68% evangelical in South Carolina, and North Carolina a lot. And I said, but that's a good thing, isn't it? They said, no, because you have some people that are very good with it. I said, I don't know. I don't think so. I think it's a good thing. I turned out to be right because they voted for Trump. They wanted Trump, and which I appreciate. I'm Protestant Presbyterian. I have to admit, okay? So anyway, and First Presbyterian Church of Jamaica, New York, and out in Queens, New York. So anyway, and I'm proud of it. But so I said, I'm going to take this into my own hands, and I'm going to figure a way that we can get you back your freedom of speech that was taken away. This wasn't taken away as part of our Constitution when our great forefathers went out and wrote it. This was Lyndon Johnson in the 1970s, okay? So this isn't something that we need great legal dialogue on. This was Lyndon Johnson in the 1970s. And Lyndon Johnson, I respect Lyndon Johnson because he was one smart cookie. But, Lyndon Johnson was a major player. He was a very, very tough cookie, and he was able to silence his critics by doing that. So we're going to get your voice back. We're going to get it back. And when it looked like I was going to win, well, it looked for a while, but, we still had never Trump, all these people, never Trump. That's why I love Mike, because Mike said, hey, he's doing a good job. And he's such an amazing guy. And we always got along. And somehow we always got along. And there were a few others, too. We have some pretty good relationships. But I said, we're going to do something. And when I got the nomination, and as we were getting it, we were working on the platform, I said to my people, see if you can add in the Johnson Amendment. Call it the Johnson Amendment. That we're going to get rid of the Johnson Amendment. Now, I wanted to come and explain it because a lot of people don't know in the kind of detail and depth that I've explained it to you today. I was with a couple of pastors 2 weeks ago, and they weren't really sure. They had heard we're going to get rid of it, but they weren't really sure. I hope you can spread the word. This will be so great for religion, but it will be so great for the evangelicals, for the pastors, for the ministers, for the priests, for America. No, they took away your voice. They took away the voice of great people. They took away the voice of people that want to see good things happen. It's not like they took away a bad voice, an evil voice. They took away a voice, and I mean took it away. Because when you were up, I think 2 people in this room were there actually, but if you were in that room with me, they were silent. They didn't want to get involved with good things. So we're going to put it together, and we actually put it in the platform. And I have to say the Republicans were great. They were great. And we'll get it approved, too. We'll get it out. We'll be able to terminate the Johnson Amendment. And you'll have great power to do good things. And religion will start going, instead of this way, Christianity. When you think of what's happening, you look at the numbers. I talk about Sunday school. People don't even know what I'm talking about anymore. It's true. They don't know what I'm talking about. When you look, instead of going this way, you're going to be going this way. You may be going this way, but you're going to be going, we're going to bring it back because it's a good thing. It's a good thing. They treated you like it was a bad thing, but it's a great thing, not a good thing. It's a great thing. So if I get elected president, one of the early things, one of the absolute first things I'm going to do is work on totally knocking out the Johnson Amendment. Now, it's not going to be that hard because even the Democrats, the power you have is so enormous. It's not like you represent 2% of the country and, it's going to be difficult. You're probably 75, 80%. And if you want to put your full weight, I mean, can you imagine if all of your people start calling up the local congressman and the local senator and they don't have a chance of winning that one. That one, and I don't need lobbyists like Hillary Clinton needs, who pay them a fortune, by the way. We don't need lobbyists. The lobbyists, they get paid a fortune, and they have total control over Hillary. Special interests, all of these people, they have total control over her. They paid, the hedge funders gave her $48 million. Me, I'm largely financing me. We're raising money for the Republican Party. But somebody gave me $16,000. I'm trying to figure out who it was. I want to give it back, right? 16. She got 48 million. I got 16. And a poll just came out. We're tied in Florida. And we're doing well, too. We're doing well in Ohio. We're doing well. We're going to do well. And the polls are really, Rasmussen just came out. I think I was 11 or 12 or 13 points down a few weeks ago. Now I'm 3 points down. So something's going on. Something's going on. Well, this happened in the primaries, too. Somebody got up the other day. It was Geraldo Rivera. So Geraldo's a good guy. And he was on one of the Fox shows. And they were talking about who's going to win. He says, the one thing I have to say, nobody's gotten rich by betting against Donald Trump. So who knows? I don't say that in a bad way, but I did beat 16 very talented politicians, etc., right? So I think we're going to win. I think we're going to do well. She's a very dishonest person. New emails have come out today. You heard about this whole deal. Now the FBI, it seems, is very upset because they made a recommendation to Justice, and Justice turned down the recommendations. What's going on now has never been seen. It's not to say that it hasn't gone on, but it's never been seen publicly, where somebody can go out and read charges that somebody is so guilty that other people's lives have been destroyed, including General Petraeus. You got 2 years, and you don't have to serve. I mean, what they did with him, and what he did was peanuts compared. She burned out 33,000 emails. So the other day they had 1,000 emails. And these are probably the good ones. But they found a lot of bad stuff. Pay for play. Pay for play. It's illegal. But I hear, and it's just happening, but I hear a lot of people are very upset that that FBI situation was not pursued. And this is having to do with other things beyond all of the things that you saw. I thought for a while, I said, wow, because it was point after point after point. I said, wow, she's guilty. And then all of a sudden, however, we've decided it's really bad, I'll tell you. We've never seen the inner workings of our government, I think, looking so bad. And just a little while ago, and I don't have right now too much of the facts, it's just coming out, but a lot of things are happening to crooked Hillary. Because I think, personally, I think that her single greatest achievement, when you can burn out or delete, or however she did, 33,000. But of course, those were okay, but they were the wedding and yoga. I could see for yoga 2 or 3. I could see for the wedding 10. But 33,000 emails, yoga and the wedding, right? And I made the statement before that Barack Obama and Hillary Clinton, these are the founders of ISIS. These are the founders of ISIS because of bad judgment. These are the founders, and some of them, well, that's not very nice. That's nice. If they said it about me, it'll be fine. If I say something about them, it's terrible. I said they get the most valuable player award. ISIS is going to present them with the most valuable player award, you know, like in high school. Most valuable player. No, these are bad people with bad judgment. And at the top, we have an incompetent leader. And that's why we have. I just read where ISIS, the JV, remember the JV? It's gone from 8 countries to 28 countries. And they were trying to clean up the books. You know, did you see it just came out that they were trying to make it look like it was much less powerful than it is? And there have been 143 attacks over the last short while, 143 attacks in 29 countries. And we're allowing them to come in through Syria. We're allowing them to come in by the thousands. And Hillary Clinton wants to raise it up 550%. And already they're coming. And we don't know. In all fairness, we want safe havens. We want to help them in Syria. We'll get the Gulf states to pay for it because they've got plenty of money and they're not doing anything. And if it weren't for us, they wouldn't be there very long, believe me. If it weren't for us, they wouldn't be there very long. They got nothing but money, and we're going to have them pay for it. But I have a big heart. I have as big a heart as almost anybody in this room. You have some pretty good people. I know one person in particular. I don't know. I think he's actually a better person than I am, but that's okay. But he knows I can do this stuff better, meaning open it up for you folks. So we're going to hopefully win. And the way we're going to win is you have to get your congregations and you have to get parishioners, you have to get all of your people to go out and vote. You got to get them to sign those cards early. In many cases, you can vote before November 8th. This way, there's no excuses. I joke a lot. I say, if you're sick, if you just got the worst prognosis that a doctor can give you, if you're lying in bed and you just know you're not going to make it, you have to get up on November 8th and you have to vote. Like you do. But, and honestly, you didn't vote for Romney. Had you voted for Romney, it would have been much closer. You didn't vote for Romney. The evangelicals, religion didn't get out and vote. And I don't know why, whatever the reason, I'm not sure why. There were a lot of different reasons for it. But people did not get out and vote. But you have really now a one-time shot. That's it. It's a one-time shot to get out and vote. You have to get the people in your churches, you have to get them to go out and vote. You have to, whether you have bus drives, do whatever you have to do. For instance, we have a close race in Virginia. If we get the evangelicals, we get the different people that are represented by you. If we get those people to vote, we're going to win in Virginia. We're going to win in Virginia. If they don't vote, not going to happen. It's never going to happen again. You're never going to have a chance again. 501c3, termination for yourselves. Open speech. You can talk freely about who you like. Think of that. You can have your people dialogue within the churches and temples and whatever it may be. You can have actually dialogue. Talk about who you want. It's never going to happen again, folks. How it happened in the first place is amazing. It told me what a great politician Lyndon Johnson is, to be honest with you. How he got that through is incredible. He was a strong, tough guy. But you're never going to have this chance again. You're going to have one chance. And the reason I wanted to do this instead of a ho-hum speech where I say, talk about my childhood, talk about whatever, have a few people yawning in the middle. Did you notice I took the teleprompters down, right? I had teleprompters. No, I had a speech written by a professional, and I said, I'm not reading this. you have a chance to do something that will be earth-shaking. I literally mean it, earth-shaking. You got to get your people out to vote. And especially in those states where we're represented. We're having a tremendous problem in Utah. Utah's a different place, and I don't know if is anybody here from Utah? I mean, I didn't think so. We're having a problem. I mean, because, look, it could cost us the Supreme Court. We're going to have 4 or 5 justices put on. We're having a problem. I've been given a false narrative. But we're doing really well in some states, including Florida. How many are from Florida here? A lot? Oh, well. I mean, look, if you get your people out to vote, we're going to win Florida. So we're even, maybe 1 point up, 1 point down. It's an even, and I haven't started yet. I really haven't started. Don't forget, I won the primaries by a landslide. And people were really shocked. You remember the story when we had Marco and Jeb, and we had initially 17 people. And they saw Marco and Jeb, and they said, well, we'll do winner take all. That way one of the 2 guys will pick up 99 delegates, right? And I said, I don't want that. You have a governor for 8 years, and you have a senator who's a rising star, and you have Trump. But then the first poll came in, and I had 48%, and they had 12 and 11. I said, I do like that now. Anyway, we won by a massive amount, and it was great. We need help in Ohio. We're very close in Ohio. Ohio's very close, but we need help. And the fact that you're in Florida, most of you, many of you are in Florida, but if you could send out the word to Ohio, Pennsylvania, some of those really important swing states, I'm telling you, we will do it. And because we're close, we're very close. I mean, they're all close. Pennsylvania's a little further off, but I think we're going to win Pennsylvania because the miners, she wants the miners out of business. She wants steel out of business. She's a disaster. She's a disaster. I think we're going to win Pennsylvania. But if we become president, we are going to do something that will be so great for something that we all love, okay? Something that we all love. And we have 90 days, not long. 90 days. When I started this, it was June 16th. So we had a long time. I said, boy, that's a long time. Now all of a sudden we're down to 90 days. So I think it's so important. I just gave a speech to a great organization, the home builders of our country, great people. And my father was a home builder. That's what he did. He built homes. And I'm driving over here. That was 2 hours ago. I'm driving over here. And I said, in a way, you're home builders too, but you're home builders with the Spirit. You're spiritual home builders, which is actually more important if you think about it than the brick and mortar, okay? So I just want to tell you that I wanted to discuss this because usually it's one line, we're going to get rid of the Johnson Amendment, and nobody even knows what I'm talking about. I've explained it in more detail than I ever have. If you could spread the word to everybody that you know, to all of the other pastors all over, and if you get everybody out to vote in Florida, and if you get everybody out to vote in like Virginia, like Pennsylvania, like Ohio, and some of the other states, especially the ones that are really the pivotal states, we will win. And you will see things happen for the evangelicals. You will see things happen that you wouldn't believe. And really most importantly, for religion, you're going to see things happen. For religion. All religions. So important. So I hope you can spread the word. On November 8th, I hope you can get everybody out. And before then, they have early ballots, especially in Florida. They have early ballots, and you could sign hundreds of thousands of early ballots for people that can't get out to vote, for just about everybody. And whatever you can do, I would appreciate. I say pray for me. I pray for you. But I want to just say that whatever you can do, this will be an election that will go down in the history books. And for evangelicals, for the Christians, for everybody of religion. This will be maybe the most important election that our country's ever had. So go out and spread the word. And once I get in, I will do my thing that I do very well. And I figure it's probably maybe the only way I'm going to get to heaven. So I better do a good job. Okay? Thank you.